welcome to Pop Culture Debate. I am your host, Kenny Milne. We're joined here today with Craig Watt. He's trying to go 2-1.
One fan.
Today he's trying to go 2-1. So he lost the last one. He's looking to regain that win again today. We have Megan Stewart. She is studying the third year BA Honours Performance and Contemporary Theatre course. You're still doing Contemporary Theatre, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes, lovely. And we are joined by Hayley Rose Gormley, who is also a third year Performance BA Honours Screen Acting student. She's doing the screen acting with me. Yes. So basically we've got the undercard today, but it's all fantasy based questions. So I just decided to do something a bit different today and do fantasy based stuff. So shall we just get started with the undercard? You're basically competing on the undercard to get the most points, so you can pick out of 3 options for the main event. Everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Let's start then! Round 1. Best Lord of the Rings characters. This is your opinion about who you think is maybe the strongest, the best, the most enamouring to watch. I'm basing this on the movies because I haven't read the books. I'm a terrible nerd, I'm really sorry. So I'll start with Craig, I'll work my way round, and then finish with Hayley.
Well, mine's as well, it's got to be really Gandalf the Grey and the White later on. The Lord of the Rings wouldn't happen without him, and even if it did, it wouldn't happen as well without him. He's the one that pulls Frodo out of the shower to get the quest on the ring. He's the one that stops the Balrog on the bridge, sacrificing himself, and even after he's done that, that doesn't stop him. He comes back whiter. Maybe it's a race thing, maybe not, but he comes back better. Nothing would have been wrong with Gandalf the Black, but that's the direction you decide to go in.
Alright, and Megan, what's your pick?
My favourite character is Gimli, and it's purely because he's quite a badass. He's got axes, like who isn't cool with an axe? And he's got this beautiful ginger hair and it's braided, and he's just a big muscular kind of sassy kind of funny guy. My sister should marry him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, and Hayley, what is your pick?
Mine's is a twosome. Mine's is Merry and Pippin.
Okay.
And that's purely because you just can't have one without the other. And they're like comedy release. They're just adorable little, like,
But not as good as Gimli. Like Gimli's
Okay.
not dying.
Fight it out. Why is your pick better than everyone else's?
I would like to
Shots
argue.
fired.
I'd like to argue that Gandalf is more marryable than Gimli, because Gimli is probably messy. He's rude. He'd probably fart everywhere. Gandalf is a nice guy, quiet. He'll keep to himself. You can have an interesting conversation, and he'll probably like bring you breakfast in bed and stuff like that.
But the problem is, if you had Gandalf camping with you, it wouldn't be as funny as Gimli farting in your face, would it?
Yeah, but that'll get old after a while.
I don't think it would. I think he's quite funny.
I think also Gandalf has the pipe weed.
Gandalf would never be there though, because he's constantly disappearing and going to different places.
See, exactly.
Yeah.
He would never be there for you.
But
Gimli does not
Would he be on time?
in every other relationship, people need alone time, and Gandalf can give you that. I feel like Gimli would be overbearing.
To be fair though, Gimli can't catch up with you, so if you're running, he's going to take a while to catch up, so you do actually have some alone time.
Yeah, but you've got to run away from him to get it. Gandalf will give you that space naturally.
Okay, well this isn't about like who's the best to like go out with. This is like who is the best character. So why are they the best character?
Her point was that Gimli was the best because he's so marryable. I'm arguing my character's better than her because he's more marryable, Gandalf.
Okay, so what else makes Gandalf a better character?
He can do magics.
Magics, okay.
He can do magics.
Megan, your pick is Merry and Pippin. Why is Merry and Pippin better than their picks?
Because they're funny and they're cute and they eat the same amount of food as I do, so they're compatible.
But dwarves have gold. If you were to marry Gimli, you'd have a lot of gold.
I also want a Hobbit Hole though. Like, I'm short enough for a Hobbit Hole. No!
Don't we all?
I'm in a house.
Okay.
I feel Gandalf can transform himself into a Hobbit Hole for you. So.
No, but
Yeah,
Gimli can actually fit in a Hobbit Hole. Gandalf has a pretty hard time.
Again, Gandalf can polymorph. He can become small enough.
But he
to fit in a
chooses
Hobbit
not
Hole.
to.
Exactly.
Arrogant that.
He doesn't need to. He feels like I'm not going to patronise these guys by doing that. You know, I'm just going to crawl under it. Just try and act normal. Yeah.
Okay, so why is your pick better? We'll do final thoughts. So why is Merry and Pippin the best one?
Just comedy relief. They're so nice during the movie and they're really loyal throughout the movie. And you just see some really nice scenes with all the little hobbits being pals. quite like that.
Okay. And what about Gimli? Okay, final thought for Gimli.
Gimli's definitely somebody that you can rely upon in battle, and he's never going to let you down. And you can have competitions when you're trying to kill everybody to see who kills more. Like, who doesn't want that?
I think Gandalf is both what they said and more. You know, he's like the Lord of the Rings rock. You know, people need Gandalf, otherwise everything would just collapse.
Okay, so I think I'm ready to make my judgment. It's a tough one. You actually did quite well there. I mean, it did kind of become about who would be the best to marry. So you kind of just, you know, just hijacked my question and changed it, but that's fine. So based on what everyone said, I did hear a lot about how Gimli would be good and, like, yeah, like, he could fart in your face and he's funny and he'd be good in battle. And if you're talking about marrying him, I remember you saying, like, oh, if he was chasing you and he's a bit mental, then, like, he would be able to catch you. But why would you want to be chased in the first place by somebody you're married to?
Sometimes it's the chase that's exciting.
I'm going to take you out of the running for that one. I just wasn't convinced that I want to be chased by a short, ginger, bearded man in my relationship.
Everybody has their things.
So it came down between Craig and Hayley, and I like what Hayley was saying about the comedy relief, about how they're funny and cute, and they eat the food, and that does make them, I guess, marryable as well. And you know, they have a Hobbit Hole, and they are a comedy release. But I did like what Craig said about how Gandalf is both and more. Like, he was formidable in battle. He is very powerful. He can transform himself. So it's 50-50. It's very close, but I think in my gut, I am actually going to go with Craig. Craig gets the first point. Well done. End of round one. Well done.
We've got the episode name for this podcast.
Yeah.
Hobbit Hole.
Hobbit Hole. So now we're doing the complete opposite of that for round 2. We are going with the worst Game of Thrones character. So you can interpret worst in whichever you want. Okay. The most annoying, the worst behaved, somebody you really just dislike in the show.
Oh no, I forgot to take her. Oh damn it.
Oh dear. So what is your pick?
So I don't watch Game of Thrones.
You lost already.
Yeah, I know. I watched the first season, and then I watched the last 3 episodes of the last season. So that was a bit weird, a bit trippy. The guy that flays people, the one that was in the Misfits, that actor, he's a good actor, but
Ramsay Snow.
That one, yeah. I wasn't allowed to swear, so I couldn't say the thing that I knew he's related to.
I thought it was Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, it's Bolton.
Eventually becomes Bolton, but first to begin with.
So I played the Telltale games, and I played the Game of Thrones one in that, and he was horrible in that, and that's probably why I've put him my Game of Thrones character.
Cool. So, Megan, what's your pick?
Cersei Lannister. Who doesn't love a bad character? She's not she is physically bad, isn't she? Everything about her is horrible. And I think that's why I like her, because there is nothing about her that's...
It's worst character.
Yeah, but she's my favourite because she is the worst character.
Okay. Now, Craig, what's your pick?
Mine's is Sansa Stark. For no other reason is she's just there so the writer can pick a character to constantly abuse and have no usually characters get revenge sometimes, but not Sansa. She just gets abused.
Okay, so fight it out.
I forget that Sansa's in it. That's how bad that is.
Exactly, so thanks for helping me. She's the worst character. Yeah.
I actually forgot that. Oh, am I trying to argue now? Oh,
everyone has to argue.
Yeah. Okay, Cersei. Yeah. Cersei's the worst character. Yeah, definitely.
I think
somebody you love to hate. That's why she's the worst character.
No, but she's not exactly necessary. She is literally just someone you want to hate on. But there is
plot that does centre around her being the worst character, because she does blow up a massive church.
But she also gets kind of, I don't know, I remember watching that episode where she has to walk down the street naked and full of shame. And a part of me felt sorry for her. I don't like villains I can feel sorry for. They're not good enough.
I think if you watch it,
and at least, despite all her faults, at least Cersei loves her family. Maybe too much, but
Yeah,
she
she
still
does-
like protects her family.
No, but the
like
point-
everything she does is in like the name of her family. She's not doing it for her own cruel
But she does also
intentions.
know that they're all going to die. So even though she does love them,
Yeah,
they
but
are
in
all
spite
gonna
of
die.
that, though, you could argue she's still protecting them.
Okay, so why is Sansa worse than
Well,
Cersei?
it's not so much Sansa as the writer of Game of Thrones, because Sansa in a way is pointless. Like I said before, she's just there to be abused. You could argue with all the LGBT stuff and gender things that's another woman in another piece of fiction that's just there to be weak and frail and just waiting for someone to save her or to be abused by the evil villains.
Okay.
I don't know. I think she's put up with a lot. Like she's not tried to top herself. Like she keeps fighting, so I actually see that she's quite good.
Maybe if you'd watched past the first season.
Well, I did watch the last couple episodes of the last season, and she was still going. I mean, she was just about to jump off a wall, but
she was willing to risk killing herself to get
is
away.
like some cojones.
Yeah, but that took like
Quite a
that
strong
took like
character.
5 seasons for her to get there. In the interim, she's just been
Called
like being
character
dragged.
development.
She's
Come
just been,
on.
but she's been dragged around constantly. I think we've seen enough of her dragged around. They should have like developed her in like season 3 or something. She should have got some balls then.
So why is Ramsay worse than Sansa?
Okay, he's like there to be nasty. Like he is the character you can put hate into and not feel like, oh, that's a shame because he's probably had a bad life. Like nah, he is just a horrible person. There is no love for him whatsoever. There's no redeeming quality. He's there to be horrible.
But at least he does stuff like in the plot. He makes things happen within the plot. I don't think he's just there to be evil. He changes things and moves the political landscape. Unlike Sansa, who's just there to be abused, and it doesn't really affect anything but her to be abused.
I will say that Cersei and Bolton are both unapologetically evil. I think he is more so in the physical bad, and she's more mentally bad. So that's why she is the worst character, because it is far more manipulation. It's manipulation of politics and everything to get what she wants, which I think is far more superior.
But her motivation is for her family. Like she said, she would do anything to protect her 2 younger children, the youngest ones. She would do anything. She does all these evil things because she has to. She constantly says that, and she
But then
constantly
think about it, they are the product of incest.
They are, but she's still like being motherly. Like it's not. She's not necessarily motivated totally by self-interest.
Ramsay just does it for the banter. Like that's what makes him so evil. He just does it because he doesn't have any drive in things. He doesn't have like, oh yeah, I can kill these people, but not these people because these people are my homies. She does. She has people that she won't kill, but she's got.
I think that makes her the worst character because there is some form of serious motivation underlying her.
Okay, I think I want to hear final thoughts from everyone, and then I'll make my decision. So, Craig, final thought: why is Sansa the worst character?
Like I keep saying, there's no reason for her to be there than to be abused. All the other characters, as evil as they are, at least they change things, they make things happen. I feel like there's a point to them, even if they are evil. But for Sansa, she's just the worst because there's no reason for her to be there other than, oh God, she's being abused.
And Megan, why
Cersei for the win.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Fair enough. And Hayley, why Ramsay? Final thought.
Picked him because it's the worst, literally the most awful character in the whole thing. That's Ramsay, so he is the worst.
Fair enough. Okay. I think I'm ready to make my ruling. Everyone had good picks here, and for different reasons, which was good. I like what you were saying about Cersei being manipulative and the politics and how that inadvertently causes really bad things to happen, which kind of makes her almost just as bad as maybe Ramsay. But I do think that there is just a humanity to Cersei that people hate to love, and this is why they hate her so much. And I do think that it means that she's not necessarily the worst character. So I'm taking you out the running there for that. So it's come down to Hayley and Craig.
Of course.
And looking at each character, I mean, you haven't watched Game of Thrones past season 1.
Still argued a good case
Shame.
though.
Still, no, I'm not. I'm only flagging that up as one reason. Because you did make a good case. It was a really good case that you made for Ramsay. But Ramsay himself is easy to make a case for because he is such a irreprehensible person. The only thing I would say is that when you're arguing about the worst character, it was open to interpretation as to who is like directly the worst character or for other reasons. Now, I do like what Craig was saying, that it's not necessarily set to start the character herself or the actress. It is more mainly to do with the writing, that she's just a plot device. She's just there to develop other characters and be abused. But that's actually more about the writing than it is about the character. So I'm actually going to give Hayley the point because Ramsay is just the worst guy in the world. Like, there's just nothing redeemable about that character whatsoever. So that's the end of round 2. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so in round 3 it is pitch a fantasy epic, so that could be based on pre-existing lore or anything else like that. So we just want to see what your fantasy epic will entail. So I'll start with Craig and I'll work my way around to Hayley. So Craig, what is your fantasy epic?
My fantasy epic would be based on Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Now that's a huge fantasy property that's never really been turned into a film properly. There was a film in the 80s that was I suppose, in its own right, but I think given this license, there's so much potential. You don't have to even go straight fantasy. You could do one based on a group of kids, like Stranger Things, playing D&D, and you could have a kind of narrative structure like this. Group of kids playing D&D, they describe what's happening, and then you cut to, then you make up what's happening. And then I think there's an opportunity for comedy there as well, because you could have, little Timmy, and he's playing a giant orc barbarian, but having little Timmy's voice doing the actions.
Okay.
And you can get a lot of scope. There's also a lot of lore with D&D behind it as well. There's like hundreds of books. There's all the lore within the board games. So there's a lot of territory to plunder there for like interesting stories and narratives. And you could quite easily, you wouldn't have to stretch it or anything like that. You could quite easily get 3 films out of it, like a massive Lord of the Rings epic.
Okay. And Megan, what's your pick?
Probably I've been playing is it Red Mystery Dungeon thing, the Pokemon thing, that's the Red Rescue Team, that's it.
Pokemon Dungeon.
Yeah. How cool would that be as an epic fantasy and you're a Pokemon? Like you could either have that as a TV series as you as a Pokemon, and like the mentality of a human being as a Pokemon, and just going around doing Pokemon things. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Okay, and Hayley, what's your pick?
You're welcome.
Mine would be a kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland, but with steampunk.
Okay.
I feel like it's been done before a couple of times. Like, I get that, but it's a really interesting thing. Like, getting into like such a wasteland, I suppose as a bit Mad Max now that I'm thinking about it as well, but getting into such a bad state like in the world, you have to go back to like clockwork, go back to all the clogs and go back to like restarting again and then making something really gnarly out of it. I think it would be really interesting to watch like people like Survivor, but you only have a couple of stuff and you have to go kicking about, and there's all these mutated things as well. I think that's
so would you have magic and use of fantasy in that?
Well, I feel like a lot of post-apocalyptic things could come under as fantasy purely because there's normally nasty little things kicking about, like the like Princess Bride, the overly large rodents or something that's in the fire swamp. You get things like that in post-apocalyptic, which I think would come under fantasy. I know that tends to be like due to like pollution and stuff, but I mean, isn't this world magic with all the pollution?
Okay, so fight it out. Like, why is your pitch better than anyone else's?
Hayley, right?
Yeah.
Hayley, yeah. I would like to argue that your pitch wasn't focused enough. The question was, what's a fantasy world? And you kind of responded post-apocalyptic. That doesn't tell me about the characters, the story, or what's going on there. It's just a kind of, you just pitched another theme.
That's fair.
Okay.
Argue against me, fight me.
No, that's fair. I made it up on the way here.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So anyone else got an argument to make?
Would you like to be a magic squirtle running around having fun?
That's all I've ever wanted, Megan. But
See, I have won.
At the same time, Megan, I would rather be like a knight or a paladin or a dragon more than I would a magic squirtle.
But you don't want to be cute and squirt things?
No, I would rather be giant and badass and, make things blow up and go on fire.
Yeah, but you could do that if you were Charizard.
Yeah, but not a cute little Squirtle though.
Yeah, but you don't have to be Squirtle. It depends completely
But
on your personality.
Charizard is basically a shit dragon. I'm going to say it, guys. You know, I could be a shit dragon, or I could be an alternate black dragon, you know.
Is that because of his colour?
No.
Oh.
Well, I'm white, so it's kind of reverse racism.
Right, I don't think I need to hear any final thoughts. I've already made my ruling. Right, Craig gets the point, because he's the only one that actually pitched a fantasy film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And didn't put with it on the way here, and didn't pitch Pokemon. So round 4, pitch a theme park ride based on a fantasy franchise. So a fantasy based theme park ride. So I'll start with Hayley, I'll work my way around. So what's your ride?
Right, I really like Harry Potter. So,
Okay.
mine would be, you go on a buckbeak. And it's a very, very animatronics, there we go. Lifelike buckbeak, and you like get to fly it around like bits of like the Forbidden Forest and over the water and all that. So it's like the ride that Harry goes on in the movie. It'd be really fun, and I think like anyone would be up for that. It's a buckbeak. It's beautiful.
Cool. And Megan?
My one would be probably like if you could get a Millennium Falcon and kind of use VR, so you can drive in the Millennium Falcon to different planets and get to explore in the ship. I think that would be quite cool. And you can run around the ship and blast things while somebody else is driving it. That'd be good fun.
Okay, and Craig?
Stop me if you've heard this one before, guys. But I would base my ride on a little film called Dragonheart, which is a film all about dragons. I don't know if you guys knew that. And basically, it's a roller coaster that would be entirely made of dragon stuff. So the roller coaster itself would be a dragon with its wings, and you'd go around and you'd fly past the other dragons in and out and round them, and the dragons would shoot fire, and it'd be massive spectacles like that. And you'd maybe go past, and a knight would be trying to stab a dragon, but then you fly and you just like, as you go past, you just miss the dragon's foot being stamped on you. I think there's a lot of opportunity for like frights and stuff like that on the ride.
So kind of like a ghost train but a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, fight it out. Why is your pitch better than anyone else's?
You have a lot of things about dragons this week.
It's fantasy week, so
Yeah,
those are
that's
the
true.
best things about fantasy.
I feel like
really.
yours has a lot of health and safety issues, like fire,
No,
dragons going right
I
past you.
I wouldn't be real fire.
Ah,
I would be fake fire. But I'd imagine that already comes sorted out with the pitch. Like they'll worry about the health and safetyness. Yeah, I don't think it would be a problem.
Okay.
Basically.
But you don't think it'd be cool though to be in the Millennium Falcon and getting to do the things that Han Solo and Chewbacca did? I think that'd be great fun.
It would be great
I've
fun.
always wanted to do it and be on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, but I'd argue that VR is nowhere as good as like a real life roller coaster. You're not going to get the same thrill out of it.
But at the same time, though, visually, like because you're so engrossed in it, getting bumped about and stuff like that it is gonna feel like it.
True, but you're no way going to replicate that than it is being on an actual roller coaster, going down like mad slopes, get that wind sensation, you know, your stomach rising up, and feeling like you have to scream, and that kind of adrenaline rush that comes from that. I don't think VR is there, or it might never be there in terms of how it will feel as just a visceral experience.
But if it was on a plane and you were able to do that and get 0 G's and stuff like that, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Because at least then you definitely get it.
Yeah, the difference is with your VR, and I feel like mine and yours are similar in the sense that you're on something and you're flying. That is a totally different sensation, and I think it'd be funner because you could see everyone else beside you and all the different like. I think it opens up a bit more and makes it more an experience for everyone involved instead of it being quite closed in, which I've tried on VR goggles before, and it is quite suffocated almost. As much as you're looking at a new world, you are kind of quite aware that you're still...
But even if I'm not like saying like the VR goggles, but even if it was like some form of like it is actually the set off
I can
that can be moved about
I can
like
say
that.
I've been to Disneyland and they've had what you've pitched. They had a Spider-Man ride where you go into a little like wardrobe almost, you put on the thing and then it rocks back and forward and it goes up and down. Now it was really good, it was really fun, but then I went on a real roller coaster and oh my god, there was a massive difference to the VR experience it was trying to simulate and the actual roller coaster. It wasn't as thrilling.
Okay. So final thoughts from everyone as we get final thoughts and just say what you want. So Hayley, final thought, why the buckbeak? I haven't heard enough about your idea.
Yeah, I think it would be really good. I also think that it could be something that would actually happen in the next few years, what with the Harry Potter land being such a big thing and being so well done. I feel like that's something they're missing, because that's one of the best parts in the movies, and I think it would like create a really good sense of freedom being on that ride. So
okay. And Megan, final thought?
Why would you not want to be on Solo?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Craig?
I think my ride will be the most visually interesting, if not the most thrilling. And I feel like Harry Potter World already has rides like that. So I feel like, and Dragonheart's kind of a new property, so it's more exciting because people are like, oh, what's this about? Why is this dragon here? Why does he look like that? Yeah, there'd be a bit more element of mystery. Okay.
Ready to make my ruling, I think? Okay, so that was a good round, better than the last one. You all had really good rides. One thing I would say about Hayley is that they've made a buckbeak ride.
Have they?
Yeah, they have.
Oh,
there is a roller coaster in Universal in Harry Potter Land that is in fact already there. So you pitched one that already exists.
Do you know I was going to
Go try it. It's good fun. So I'm going to take it out the running because that actually exists.
That's fair.
Yes, Megan has a chance.
So it kind of came down to Megan
He's gonna
and
win.
Craig, and the VR versus basically like the roller coaster and stuff.
I think it just depends on your preference, though, doesn't it? More than anything. Kenny's preference.
Well, I try and make it as by the arguments as I can. I did like the point Megan said about the health and safety on his ride, but then he kind of came back and said it would be fake fire, it wouldn't be dangerous. So you can, like, the amount of things that you can do with rides in this day and age with the technological advances we have, you could probably pull that off. But then I do really like Han Solo, and I would like to fly the Millennium Falcon. But on the other side, in Disneyland, they have a ride like that. They have a Star Wars VR where you get in and you fly around and go into a battle. So again, the coin goes to Craig.
So we basically already said ones that do actually.
It's not the Millennium Falcon, but it's still a Star Wars VR. So it'd be taking the same technology and putting it in the Millennium Falcon. So
we're entrepreneurs just a few years later.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So Craig wins the round.
I'm
Well done. So that was pretty much whitewash there. So Craig, what's your pick out of Elijah Wood, Orlando Bloom, or Viggo Mortensen?
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. Okay, so that's Craig's pick. And what's your pick out of Orlando Bloom and Viggo Mortensen?
Actually, Viggo Mortensen.
Okay.
But your argument earlier was Orlando Bloom.
Anna, you're stuck with Orlando Bloom, Megan.
That's fine.
Okay.
Some kind of treachery going on.
So round 5. So basically, this question is, out of Elijah Wood, Orlando Bloom, or Viggo Mortensen, who would be the best at LARPing? So if you know what LARPing is, it's live action role playing, so like getting like costumes and fighting each other in a fantasy world. If you haven't seen Role Models, it's a great movie, go check it out. So I'll start with Hayley and I'll work my way around to Craig. So you picked Viggo Mortensen, why?
Yes, because I forgot about this. I was talking earlier on about a different person. But in the making of Lord of the Rings, he was one of the people that, one, was most like his character already, but two, actually went into quite a bit of study to get the character right. I feel like he would come up with a really good character if he was doing it, and he also has the right element of fun, because I've seen him in outtakes. I know he's quite a fun guy when he's out of character, and that is the main point of LARPing, is just to let go and enjoy yourself. I feel like he would probably be the strongest argument, and also, I mean, he's gorgeous, who wouldn't? Like, I would enjoy seeing him run about as anything.
Okay, and Megan?
I'm going to use Hayley's argument against her from earlier, because basically, she said, which is now my words, Orlando Bloom is quite childlike, and he likes to have like good fun and everything. As you can tell, like from like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff, like he does just like to have like a good laugh, and he's quite good at improvising and stuff like that, and I think he would be quite good for it, just because he does have that capability of being able to have fun, let go, and he can improvise really, really well, and that's what you need in an actor.
Okay, and Craig, you've got Elijah Wood.
I feel like Elijah Wood, out of all the other picks, is the most closest to kind of nerd culture and stuff like that. I feel like he's the one that goes to Comic-Con, he's the one that dresses up, he's the one who, like, is one of us, you know, plays video games, read comics. He's the most nerdiest one, so I think he's most likely to do it. He's also most like his character in terms of not just looks but physicality. He's quite short, and you know, he might have hairy feet, or he might not. But you know, that could be easily remedied, and he just has to grow his hair out. So he already kind of feels like Frodo, or he basically is Frodo.
Okay, so debate it out. I want to see why your guys' picks are better than the other ones. So come on.
Okay. 1. Improvisation is good on the battlefield, but it's better to have a strategy. Therefore, my character would be best because he has shown that he can do method acting, go into this role, but also you need to have like a diary. So if you want to build a really good LARP character, you need to sit there and think about it for hours on end. Think about the costume, think about what's going to be good in battle, think about what I can have as a weapon. I think he would be the best for this because he is the most strategic planner from what I've seen in like outtakes and interviews. Elijah Wood, yeah, he is a really good hobbit, but that looks like all he can play. Like, could Elijah Wood look like he could probably wizard, but like giant, like orc, like I think he's pigeonholed into that.
Yeah.
He's also very good at playing people.
I'd argue Viggo Mortensen would be takes himself too seriously to ever LARP. Like, he is like, unless it's like a role for acting, he won't ever go into it that much. He won't ever do it. I feel like with Elijah Wood, I think he'd do it. Like, I think he would actually LARP. I can't see Viggo Mortensen, his personality.
At the same time, I could probably see Orlando Bloom do it, depending on what the circumstances was around it.
I could see mine LARPing purely because, like, as an actor, I'm really, really interested in LARPing purely for the role play and purely for getting into role. And I think if like the opportunity came to him, like, oh, do you want to go? We'll go to Beakley this year. We'll go up to French Canada. Oh God, Haley. Yeah. French Canada. Canada.
Sounds like a disease.
Oh God, right. So say you're going to go up to Beakley for like the long weekend. I think he'd be up for that because that is like proper LARP. Like, things get built, structures get built for that, and I think he'd be like, yeah, I'm totally into it, and he would be the king by the end of it. Everyone would be like doing their like salutes and everything like that to him.
You said you're an actor, you're interested, but you're from a very different generation to Viggo. He's an old man now. He's a very old man now, and I don't know how up for it he would be doing something so physical if it wasn't for a role. I don't know. I can't see him doing it just for fun at his age.
Well, no, I could see. You go weird with age. You go batty with age. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to sit in on a guild meeting. One of my mum's friends runs it. She's 63, so there's not really an age limit for LARPing. You can do it at any age, and that's part of the fun of it. You can have children there. You can have old people there. He'd be a really good spooky wizard at this age.
That's your mum, though, not Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, but I don't know him that well, so neither of us can. This is purely speculation.
But based on what I've seen, though.
But based on what I've seen, I feel like he would do it. So it's two totally different things.
Okay, so why would Orlando Bloom be better than either of these two, Megan?
Because he's hot.
Because he's hot.
Viggo Mortensen?
Yeah, but I feel like there's like an age thing. Like, sometimes I feel like you're going at your granddad if you were...
Yeah, but her mum's 60.
I feel like a lot of these debates you're going to make about who you can marry.
Yeah. I'm not even going to lie about that. But I will say, though, that Orlando Bloom, like, he just does go with it. Like even in the outtakes and stuff like that in the bloopers, like, he's always out and having fun, even in costume. Like, he's always doing something silly.
But is he nerdy enough to take LARPing seriously enough?
I think he could.
Would he get into the battle mindset, or would he just be like, I'm a funny elf?
No, I think he could. I think he could, depending on what the circumstances was and who he was playing as. I think he could do it quite well.
Okay, so just final thoughts from everyone. I'll get final thought from Haley, and then I'll work my way around. So, final thought on Viggo Mortensen.
Would be the best at LARPing, would be strategic, and I would be happy to have him as the king of my guild.
Okay. Megan, final thought?
Well, he's awesome. So, yeah.
Okay. And Craig, final thought?
I'm feeling
very tired.
Be okay. Yeah. So I think Elijah Wood is the most one likely to do it, and he's nerdy enough to take the strategic stuff possible, and he's silly enough to be fun with it, and he's just the most likely to do it.
Okay. I think I'm ready to make my ruling. You all had good points there, for the most part. It's really hard to pick which one. I mean, I liked what you were saying about how Viggo Mortensen has got the mindset. He could be strategic, he could be good for your guild, he could be a good guild king, things like that. He had good knowledge of actual LARPing as well in there, so that was a really good argument, backing yourself up. How about you could be any age, 63, that was going for you. Craig, obviously the fact that Elijah Wood probably has done LARPing at some point, I can imagine. Certainly as a younger lad before he made Lord of the Rings. And he does dress up and goes to Comic-Con. Megan, I liked what you had, that he is quite childlike, he's good at improvisation, and he's up for a laugh. But I just didn't hear enough, like, especially in your final thought, the fact that Orlando Bloom is hot and awesome and that you want to marry him, I don't think it is a good enough reason to give you the point. I'm sorry, but I'm just taking you out there on it.
I have not done any research for this, and
I can imagine a good three-way between you, Gimli, and Legolas. That would be quite nice for you.
I would just be laughing the whole time.
You would get left out.
Okay, so it's come down to Hayley and Craig again. So this is a tough one because you both had, what was interesting, you both had different arguments, but they're both really strong. Obviously because they're different people. But like, it was like, you were coming from a point of like, Elijah Wood would do this. That's really hard to say. Elijah Wood would want to do this, and he does dress up. He does go to Comic-Con, he is one of us. Whereas you had the whole like, but Viggo Mortensen has the mindset for doing LARPing, and you know he can be a tactician, he can have that training as well with weapons and things like that. And I think the interesting point to make is that technically in making Lord of the Rings they have all done LARPing, just a really really expensive version in film cinematic that we all watched in the cinema. So I think in that respect every cast member probably could do it. So it comes down to who I thought had the strongest argument, and I'm going to go with
take your time, that's fine.
Drum roll.
55 years later. And 25 seconds.
Okay, I think I am going to go with Craig.
Booyah!
Sorry, Elijah Wood's one of us, and it was hard, but I do think Viggo Mortensen, age isn't an issue, but I think he might just take himself a little bit too seriously as an actor to then go out and do something like that. And I think Elijah Wood would just be in there and loving it. It's imagination, so it doesn't matter about his playing range.
Got 1 point.
So yeah, Craig wins this edition of Pop Culture Debate. Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you're 2-1 now.
I usually say like, I wish another one of the choices win. But I think Elijah Wood is
finally! Yay!
Although I did really, really like your argument.
Thank you.
You caught me off guard there. Yeah.
Cool.
I should have looked at the questions.
Because I like LARPing.
I even had an advantage. I saw the questions being written, and I was like, no, it's fine, it's okay.
Okay, so thank you for watching this edition of Pop Culture Debate. Please like, share, and subscribe. I think you subscribe down there. Down there, everyone point that way. No. Subscribe down there, please subscribe. Or that way. It's that way. It's that way. Okay. Please subscribe for more awesome nerdology. And we will see you guys very soon.
That's where the views are. Oh, sorry.
Okay, bye-bye.